precursor to racially, nationalistically, or homophobically charged joke. No, it was just a conversation between two friends about fantasy literature, current affairs, and anything that popped into our heads. Hello, and welcome to Tangential Diatribe. My name's Ronan V, and with me, as always, is Leif Jor. Leif, how are you?
I'm fine. Everything good?
Everything's fine, mate. I love your low-key...
Hey, I'm on my whiskey. This is my whiskey voice.
Okay. It's very smooth. Leif, this week we're going to be talking about Dragonlance series.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's a topic I know very little about, but you're ridiculously passionate about. So I should presume, you know the problem with presumptions. They make an ass of you and I.
Of course.
No, that's if you assume. Oh, that makes more sense. It makes an ass of you and me.
What?
I don't know, because if you presumed, it wouldn't. That wouldn't make any sense.
You're just confusing me now.
Well, if you say, I assume.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, well, the problem with assuming something, it makes an ass out of you and me, because that spells assume. Whereas I tried to do it with presume. That doesn't make sense at all.
No.
So we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
We're off to a good start. Up top, I want to apologise for the quality of our last two podcasts. Mm-hmm. I want to apologise. Leif is the one who should be apologising.
What?
Unfortunately, we couldn't get together. We wanted to, but we wanted to upload something. And that something is a podcast idea that we played around with before. It was on a worse mic, so the quality wasn't as good. Who knows, maybe in a couple of years or even 6 months, the way technology is going, we'll be looking back on this podcast and apologising again and saying sorry for the last 6 months for subjecting you to that, because the quality was terrible. Not just the sound quality. I'm rambling on, Leif. You got to jump in and stop me at some stage.
I have to say though, I do like the new mic. Yeah, it does make a huge difference. My sound, it's always weird to listen back to yourself and see the weird things you do when you speak, right? And you don't realize. Yeah. But with this mic, it's way better.
Do you like listening to your voice?
I hate it. It's so... okay, I'm weird. I like doing this because this is basically fun chat, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of annoying to know that people can listen to it, even though I want them to listen to it, but I don't want them to hear my voice. And that makes no sense.
Okay.
Right?
Do you know what's weird, though?
No?
About your voice or my voice? Mm-hmm. They're not listening to your voice as you hear your voice.
No, exactly. That's the thing. So it's only in your own head that it's annoying. Yeah.
So the voice, that's the reason why we don't like our voices when they're recording. It's a disconnect, because we hear it and we go, that's our voice, but that doesn't sound like me.
Yeah.
It's because it doesn't sound like it does when you hear it.
Because I clearly know that I sing like Freddie Mercury, but nobody else can hear that, so I don't know. There's some disconnect somewhere, but sure.
I've never heard you sing. I've heard you hum like a madman, and you do not hum like Freddie Mercury.
What?
Anyway, like, if I can drag us kicking and screaming back to the subject at hand.
Yes.
We're talking about Dragonlance, but before we get into that, what have you read recently?
Have
you read anything recently?
Yeah. I'm actually into... I'm reading Seveneves, which is a sci-fi book at the moment.
Okay.
Because...
Goddamn sci-fi. Alright, go on.
Yeah, because I found the plot a little bit interesting. So it's basically... a thing hits the moon gets shattered into 7 pieces, and they will...
Was it a pizza pie?
Almost, yeah.
All right,
maybe.
Sorry.
Yeah. And those pieces will start fracturing and basically destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
So everybody have to scramble and get the hell out of Dodge.
Right.
And
is Dodge a city?
Clearly.
Right.
It's kind of interesting to see the solutions that the governments of the world has to the coming end and blah blah blah, especially in this time and day where we have pandemics on the news every day, even though it's not the same scale.
How does the government of Honduras combat this?
So the Latin American countries do not get enough space people, so they attack the launch platform. Now I'm spoiling the book. Why you always do this to me?
All the Latin countries together.
No, one of them in particular.
Brazil.
No.
No?
No, I don't want to spoil it.
Argentina. They're always up for a fight. It's Argentina, isn't it?
I would say this much. It's close to the U.S. border. Or seaway.
So it's Mexico.
Anyhow.
Is it Mexico? Don't tell them.
No.
Just throw me a wee wink if it's Mexico. He winked. Did he wink? I don't know. It's hard to say.
No, so
he didn't wink.
It's quite interesting. It's a pretty good book. At the point that I'm at, it skips 5,000 years. So...
Right. Which way?
Forward.
Oh, it goes forward. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, pointless if it went backwards. That's just our own history. But anyway.
Yeah. But it could be alternate history.
And it couldn't have skipped 5,000 years ago because the universe didn't exist 5,000 years ago. Is that correct?
Clearly. I'm raised as a Latter-day Saint, so yeah. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't even know. They believe that. Not sure.
I don't know. Anyway, so good book. Who's it by?
Definitely. Neal Stephenson.
Neal Stephenson.
It's
Is it Neal Neal? It is Neal Stephenson. What else has he written? I feel like
he's written a lot of sci-fi books. He's pretty well famous.
Okay.
Snow Crash, Cryptonomicon, like those are established books.
Let me ask you a serious question. Seeing Neal written Neal, does that look wrong to you? Like, that's not how you spell Neal.
No, yeah. But
like, when I look at that, I'm like, that's not how you spell Neal. Like, somebody messed up on your birth certificate.
If you want to go like that, is Tracy... What's that? What's that all about?
Tracy, I think, unless you're spelling it with an I in the end, you can go EY or just Y. I think that's fine.
Do you like names that are gender fluid or whatever? Like, in Sweden, Kim could be male and female.
Or it could be North Korean.
Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't exist anymore. He's dead.
That's an interesting way of putting it. I don't know. I guess he doesn't if he's dead. But he's not dead.
Last he was seen on his crazy train, but we'll see.
Just cease to exist once you're dead. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
No, we'll see. Interesting times. Things are changing.
Yeah. So you think that that's an interesting way of putting that. Like, obviously...
I clearly think that, yeah.
Yeah.
If you die, you don't have any lingering presence. You die.
Your body, though, until it decomposes, is...
No, yeah, but even then, you're just innate atoms, basically. Like, just mulching.
Okay, interesting. But, yeah, alright. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Okay. I have no idea. You derailed me hard.
I can't even remember what book you were talking about.
Have you been reading anything?
What's the prequel to Seveneves called? Is it called Sixes?
No, there's no prequel.
Right. And should it be Seventh Eye?
No.
No, it shouldn't. That's ridiculous. Sorry, man. Tell me more about that.
You're just messing with my books.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good book. I hardly recommend. Hardly recommend it.
All right. I don't know, mate. So just because I'll be 100% honest with you, I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
I was just thinking up ways to derail.
Yeah. I can speak. If it's not just me, he is in that kind of mood. I'm thinking this is gonna go awry soon. We'll see.
It already has, man.
Yeah. So I'm sensing a food fight coming.
Because the book sounded good. Yeah. So it's about the moon's about to explode.
Now the moon explodes.
Right.
And it shatters into pieces.
Right.
And
what happens? Like, are you getting meteors and things?
Yeah, exactly.
Impacting the Earth?
But there's like and it becomes more and more and more.
Sorry, if I may raise my hand and ask another question. How did the moon explode?
They're thinking like a tiny singularity, kind of like a tiny black hole traveling like a bullet almost.
So they don't actually know?
There's like theories, yeah.
Okay, so one day...
Like, yeah.
Jesus. You got to think for half the world, that's spectacular. And for the other half, they're just going... What just happened?
Yeah,
because they can't see the moon,
and it goes through all of that things, and people's reaction, government's reactions.
Okay.
Then you have ISS, and that becomes like a platform for the rescue and stuff like that. So, and it's well written. It's really good.
Okay. What's one of the just give me a little tidbit. What's one country's brilliant reaction or ridiculous reaction? Which country reacts in the best way? You don't have to tell me how they react.
I can tell you this. There's nukes.
Of course there's nukes.
Yeah.
Just tell me which country you're rooting for.
Well,
within the context of the book and how they've reacted to this.
There is no more countries.
Oh, interesting. So we actually paused for a second there, and we've both entirely forgotten what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And we don't have the wherewithal to go back and rediscover what we're talking about. You were talking about Eights'
Seveneves.
Oh, it's called
Seveneves.
Seveneves or Sevenes?
Yeah, Seveneves.
Seveneves.
Yeah.
That's not what you said the first time.
Wasn't it?
You literally said Sevenses.
Oh, okay.
Or Sevenes.
Now it's called Sevenes.
It's called Seveneves.
Yeah, Seveneves.
Why is it called Seveneves? Is it 7 days before the world ends, or?
Yeah, they say in the book, but I don't remember exactly the explanation. But it's also connected to the 7 parts, the big parts of the splintering of the moon.
Ah, okay. So there's still bits in the sky. Are they waiting for bits to fall down and destroy everything, or?
So basically, they have a limited amount of time. They know everything was going to fall down, and there's a critical point where the Earth will be rendered unlivable for like 5,000 to 10,000 years.
Right. All time though, like the moon is integral to life on Earth, isn't it?
Well, I don't think so.
I think it is. Like,
no,
sure.
it's just we used to it. I think it's protected us from a lot of things.
Okay.
And certain climates are built around it, but they would not go away.
Like the ocean, tides and things.
Yeah. But then you have something else instead. Like it would probably kill ecology in some places, but it wouldn't stop working.
Okay,
right?
okay. So we don't need the moon. It's just up there mooching.
Who knows?
Really.
I don't know.
Moon.
I think it's protecting us, same as the rest of the planets are.
From
like
ghosts,
comets and stuff.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense.
What?
Have you
been playing Super Mario or something? I don't know.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. What have I been reading? I hear you ask.
Have you been reading? Do you read?
Occasionally.
I've never seen you read.
Occasionally.
You just flip around on your phone all the time, like a teenager.
I know. It's a terrible thing. I recently read Legacy of Ash by Mathew Ward.
What's the name of the book again?
Legacy of Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Surprisingly good.
Is the main protagonist named Ashlyn?
No. No. It'd be great if the protagonist was called Ash.
Yeah.
And it's literally the Legacy of Ash.
Yeah.
No.
Why is it a great book?
I'm going to tell you why it's a great book. But first up, I'm going to tell you what annoyed me.
Why? Can't you give me a synopsis? Like, what's it about?
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I 100% will.
Why after?
Leif, mate. I promise you, I'm going to tell you what this book is about.
Are you sure?
But I'm just going to throw in there a little thing that irritated me about the book. And it's not even about the book.
I have a question, though.
Yeah, it's... What? Go.
Do you feel...
What?
This was what you were doing to me when I was talking about my book.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I love it. I love the back and forth.
I just lost my train.
I know.
100 times when I was talking about it.
But I'm good with it. I love the back and forth.
Go.
I love the banter, man.
Shoot.
Anyway, The Legacy of Ash.
I know you recommended this book to me, so...
I did.
Should I read it?
Oh, spoilers, mate. Alright, we could have got into that at the end of the book. Now people are just going to switch off, go, oh wait, Leif likes the book. Oh, well, I don't need to... I can skip the time code.
I probably won't like the book, but sure.
Alright.
Shoot.
So, Legacy of Ash.
Yep.
I really liked this book.
Mm-hmm.
But what annoyed me about this book, and it wasn't even this book, it wasn't the content of this book, it was how one reviewer described this book. And not just one reviewer. I read a couple of reviews of this book, and a lot of people described it the same way.
Before or after you read it?
After.
Okay.
I love the book. It was a new author. It got some good reviews. I wanted something to read, and I was like, okay, I like the blurb, and so I read it. They described it like Game of Thrones.
Okay, so Game of Thrones has been forever tarnished in everybody's mind.
No.
Due to the TV show.
That's not the point.
Okay.
That's not the point. Mm-hmm. what annoyed me about that, and I think we may have discussed it in Pet Peeves
Yeah.
last week, which wasn't really last week, but it kind of was last week for you, not for us. For us, it was months ago. What annoyed me about it was, like, this book is nothing like Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Like, except for the fact that it's a fantasy book, and it's epic. I go epic. It's epic fantasy, little bit of realism. That's about it. Like, it's not Game of Thrones. It's nothing like Game of Thrones.
I'm getting Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, and Dragonlance vibes of this.
It annoys me when people go, if you like Game of Thrones, you'll like this.
Yeah, but
it's such a superfluous comment.
Yeah.
You know, and I 100%, we've discussed this numerous of times. It just annoys me, and I understand it. It's like when you go on Goodreads or whatever, and it's like, oh, we can recommend this based on your reading, and fantastic. But
that's never true, though. Like, all the time it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, whenever the only thing you can trust is somebody reviews books that you like and he likes.
Yeah.
Then you can trust his further reviews. But anything else is bullshit.
Absolutely, because you know for a fact on Goodreads or Amazon, it's if you like this book, you'll, and also if their publishing company have paid us to put it at the top of the list, you'll like this book. Mm-hmm. Jenny Lyons annoyed me the first time with this, because I won't get into it.
Is an actual review you're calling out now?
I won't get into it.
By name? Isn't that unprofessional of you?
No, she was an author of a book.
Okay.
She won like the best book of last year or something.
What was the name of the book?
I can't remember. The Pilchards in the Fairy Dove Tree. I can't for the life remember.
I don't believe that's the title.
I hated the book. I hated the book. But for other reasons.
I'm more impressed you read a book with that title.
Right? I'm more impressed that I came up with that title. And it actually, I think, sounds like the title of the book. Anyway, the book itself, I'm going to get off that because I think that's a topic for another show.
Sure.
But don't tell me Legacy of Ash is akin to George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones. Because I've read those books. And this book is not like George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones. Apart from the fact that they're both books and they're both fantasy and they're epics.
So, is it helpful to have a blurb like that?
I just need to interject. If you hear any noise, it's because Moa is being very loud.
What?
Moa is Leif's daughter. She thought she could sneak in and get some water, and we wouldn't even notice, but we noticed. Shocking behaviour.
Say hey, Moa. No,
She won't do it. We could have just made the whole Moa thing up. You'll never know. Anyway, sorry. Legacy of Ash. Come on, Roland. Get back on topic. Great book. I'm going to tell you exactly what it's about, Leif, because I promised I would, and I'm a man of my word. Basically, the concept is there's a couple of ruling families of a land. There's a big evil beyond the borders, which they're trying to keep out, which is an empire. You find out later that maybe they're not that bad. Maybe the evil is actually within. It's a classic trope.
Yeah.
The prologue starts with a woman called the Phoenix. She's leading a rebellion of the South because the South is the breadbasket for the North, but they're underrepresented. They've got higher taxes, and basically they're bled dry for the.
Is it built on anything real? Like a country, or like it's a Romanesque, or is it?
Not really. If anything, I'd say it's kind of Game of Thrones-esque in its world building.
So it is like Game of Thrones.
I'm messing with you, of course it is. No, it's just a common trope. You know, downtrodden people, but they're part of the whole. There's a rebellion by the woman Phoenix. She's killed, and her children are then kept as. What would be the right way to describe it? Kind of in-house prisoners, where they're nominally the head of the country, but really it's ruled by people behind the scenes from the north.
Okay.
And so you have Joser Trelane and Colleen Trelane as the two kids. One's a girl, one's a boy. I'll let you work out which one is which. They're the two main protagonists, but then you also have Victor Akadra, who... I'm going to read you how I wrote down their characterization. Okay, so Colleen Trelane.
I'm already confused by the names.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's fantasy, man. Like in fantasy, you should never read names out loud because then you go, "That's ridiculous."
I always go, "Oh, you did." Colleen would be Call done. Yeah. And next, that's for the rest of the book. You're called Call.
Brilliant,
in my mind.
Brilliant. Yeah. But Colleen Trelane. I wrote down she's a hidden wallflower. Okay.
Okay.
Victor Akadra, peerless warrior with a dark secret.
Okay.
Josir Trelane, dispossessed noble, and that's it. Basically,
So,
they're three things, but they're not what's brilliant about this book, and why I liked it.
Do they all have separate like main arcs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the thing with this book, and it's true with a lot of... This is his first book. This is Mathew Ward's first book. Although he's written a lot for Warhammer 40,000 and for various publications. But this is his first novel, and he went big. This is the first part of a trilogy. This is 748 pages. So it's that common thing with an author's first book where they go big.
Okay.
And will he top this? Maybe, because I'll be honest, when I read this, I thought it was done by a much younger author.
Okay.
I think this guy's in like his 40s or late 30s. I'm basing that on a picture I saw of him. So if he ever hears this and he's younger at the time, I can't but apologise. But he had like silver in his beard, and it was pronounced. So I put him late 30s, early 40s.
Okay.
Okay, but
he will hate you forever now.
I know, right? But the book itself, it read like it was a younger author.
Okay.
You know, but and not in a bad way. Not in what's his name, Aragon guy. Palini. You know Palini?
Yeah.
Like, that was a good book, but you could tell it was a teenager who wrote that book.
Yeah, it's very simply.
Yeah.
It just flows differently.
Yeah. The lexicography wasn't great.
Yeah. Or simply. You can say simply.
I can just say simply.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing that I really, really loved about this book was there are a couple of battle scenes and there are a couple of fights, but it's not about that. And they're very much towards the end of the book. You get 500 pages in, and it's all just political machinations.
And that's probably why they say Game of Thrones.
Yeah, maybe, but Game of Thrones is a lot more brutal. And you know, there's magic in this, but it's my favorite type of magic, which is the sort of magic where it's not a proper magic system. It's written as though people know about magic. Some of it's banned, some of it isn't, and it's just established. It just is.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's based on an RPG where you know, like a magic-in system or whatever. And it's very good. I don't want to give too much away because you should go read this. But I was 500 pages in, and a lot of people have been moved around. There's some great characters in it. It flips the first-person narrative, or doesn't flip it. It jumps first-person narrative a lot, like even within chapters.
Oof, I don't like that.
But it works well. It doesn't do it too much.
Okay.
And it works within the confines of the story. So you have those three main characters, but my favorite character, I hope I wrote his name down, because for the life of me I can't remember. I didn't. Oh, yeah, I did. It's Malachi. And he's just initially you think he's just a courtier at
Malachi is an evil name.
Yeah.
He has to be a bad guy.
He's not. Well, that's the good thing about this book, and I'll get into that in a second. But so you think he's just a courtier, but he's actually quite high up. He's part of the what's the word for
royal clique?
No, well, yeah, royal clique, but what do you call it? The the special counselors who form like the inner.
Okay.
What do they call that?
High counselors? I don't know.
What's it called? Word's gone. But anyway, he's a member of that, part of 5. And quite a minor role. He's a bit of a coward, can't really fight. He's not even that intelligent. It's a setup very early that his wife is a lot more
almost like
intelligent.
a character in Game of Thrones. That's kind of a little behind the scenes, doing things. But a brothel.
Well, no, but that's because you're talking about Littlefinger. And Littlefinger is hyper intelligent, and he's very aware of what he's doing, and he plunges. Whereas Malachi isn't the smartest. He's not the most brave. He isn't the best warrior, but he can fight a bit. But his actions have massive ramifications, and it feels like he's always playing catch up till the end. I probably haven't described it. That
sounds like an interesting character, actually. Yeah, the other guy is so far.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's a couple of minor characters who get a lot of playtime, who are fantastic in this. Read this book. I probably haven't given it justice in my review because I've rambled a bit. I'm a rambler. I can't help it. But Great book. Legacy of Ash by Mathew Ward.
Do you know your track record though? Like lately, the books that you recommended, I don't like that at all.
Give me one example.
Let me see. The
you got nothing, buddy.
Yeah, I do.
You got nothing.
The one with the let me see.
Yeah, he's got nothing. Lads.
Yeah,
he's got
10.
nothing.
I got 10. Easy 10.
You don't. Ronan is a byword for quality.
Is it though?
I don't know, probably not.
Yeah, I didn't like the Nevernight Chronicles as much as I thought.
No,
you recommended them.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? Because we've had this conversation. You will not slander me on live recorded podcast.
Of course I will.
We have discussed this. And no, how dare you, Leif?
Alright, then Kings of the Wyld. That was your recommendation, 100%.
No, and one more time, I didn't recommend Kings of the Wyld to you. I told you about Kings of the Wyld and said it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
That's a recommendation.
How's that a recommendation? It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah,
it's like saying,
I didn't hate it, but I enjoyed it. Isn't that a recommendation?
I got cancer. It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
It's come
not a
on.
recommendation for cancer. You're just saying, I thought it'd be worse, and it's not quite as bad. Yeah.
No, that was horrible.
Kings of the Wyld isn't horrible. It's not bad.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's...
I thought you would like it, because you like that kind of RPG...
It's too name-droppy. So, it's an RPG setting... It's an RPG setting,
yeah,
but it's not built upon something previous, right? But he throws in name drops every single fantasy monster you ever run into.
Yeah.
But in a weird... You know that guy that's very annoying that keeps going, oh, I know this guy and I met that guy.
Yeah.
And don't actually have a story, just mention that, right? That's what this book is. All this book. That's all it is.
I don't think it is. I think Kings of the Wyld is fine.
And
I didn't recommend it to you, buddy. It's a lie. You see what you did there, buddy? You made an outlandish statement, a slur on my character.
Yes.
And then you tried to back it up with evidence, which you didn't have. So you tried to fabricate something, little
What
aware
evidence
that I'm
didn't I
literally
have?
standing here to defend myself. So, yeah. Anyway, Legacy of Ash. I haven't done it justice. Mathew Ward. Really good debut novel. And it's 748 pages. There were times in it, and I'm going back on things I've said before. There were times where I was like, this could have been 3 books.
Okay.
You know, and you get to the end, and you're like, okay, I can see why there's another book. But at the same time, like, there's enough in this book.
How long is it?
748 pages.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. That's a big book. And of course, it's on Kindle. So you get a book on Kindle, and you're just like, it just keeps going. It just keeps going.
Never
Whereas,
ends.
you know, if you get a hard copy, you can go, ooh, that's a big book.
Yeah.
You got to pick it up. It's heavy. But on Kindle, it weighs the same.
I have the same problem with audiobooks. I'm like, one book that I have the same amount of enjoyment from might be 7 hours, and the next one is like 25. I'm like, why?
Because maybe the person spoke really slowly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, should we get on to
Dragonlance?
Dragonlance.
So,
hand it right over to you, Leif, because all I got in Dragonlance is I read the first 3 books of it years and years ago. Quite liked it. Tried to read them later in life, and not so much. What do you got?
Okay, so the first book of Dragonlance is called Dragons of Autumn Twilight, written by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman.
Ooh, can I just jump in? Tracy Hickman,
yeah.
Right? We've done this before, I'm sure. We've probably discussed it in this before. Mm-hmm. Bloody fantasy authors that you presume are one sex, and then they come along, kick you in the balls, and they're a different sex. Tracy Hickman used to write with Margaret Weiss. I thought it was 2 women.
Yeah, I thought so too. Thing is, though, it's not very common with pictures of the authors in fantasy books in the books, right? There is sometimes, but it's not often.
Some of them got long hair, so you just can't tell.
They also have beards.
That is true.
Yeah.
I don't discriminate, Leif.
Yeah, okay, sure.
That's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah, but anyway, book came out in 1984. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Fantasy have changed a lot since then. But it was started as in the Dungeons and Dragons world.
Yeah.
The pen and paper role-playing game.
Yeah.
in the first edition there was an story extra book that you could buy that was called Dragonlance.
Yeah.
A module it's called, and Margaret and Tracy got told to create a world in there and make it more.
Who did? Sorry.
Margaret and Tracy, I think. I don't know. Yeah, but
sorry, I think
because the first writer wasn't as good.
So Laura and Tracy Hickman.
Yeah, sure.
And then Margaret Wise came in later.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll find.
Yeah,
Laura and Tracy married, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Margaret came in later.
Yeah.
As an editor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, they created these books, and the company behind wasn't promoting it, wasn't doing anything because they didn't think it was going to sell. Lo and behold, 3 million copies later.
You skipped a little bit though.
Yeah.
Which, if I may, is an interesting little facet.
Yeah, there's a lot of things there.
But initially, Margaret Wise was brought in as an editor.
Mm-hmm.
And after they'd come up with the story, they tried to find an author for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They found an author, didn't like what they did.
Nope.
So they did that classic of, screw it, we'll write it ourselves.
Yeah.
And thus began.
Yeah. Best part is, while they were writing the first couple of chapters, they send it in and they got a go ahead, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then they will actually role-playing the characters at the same time in this world. So they gave, for instance, the voice of Raistlin is because of one of their role-playing guys had a raspy voice.
Oh, okay.
So it changed the characters. The guy, the pale skin. Raistlin is a mage, by the way. But it's a classic fantasy. One mage, one paladin, one dwarf, whatever.
Yeah.
But with its own spin. But it's a big group of people get together in a war-torn world, try to save the world, basically. But Raistlin, for instance, he has golden skin and hourglass eyes. It's one of his prominent features because of a trial of magic.
Not initially, though.
No, so that's the thing. That's created because the guy who was supposed to do the first art for the module book, he's like, let's paint this randomly, and then it got added there, and then the writers go, oh shit, we have to add this in because we have to give it a backstory, and we have no idea. Clearly a trial of some kind, and then they write that in. So there was a lot of those like happenstances, right? And there's so many fun, weird stories about that. Yeah. So there's a tiny race of kind of like hobbits, but not, and they're called Kender, and they were in the fantasy world too. And the main here is called Tasselhoff.
Yeah,
and he's based. You know why he got his name?
Why?
He got his name from David Hasselhoff. Because the people who was role-playing liked Knight Rider. I love that.
Yeah, that's good. Especially if you know the character.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that's all.
So, what I do like... So, for me, it was like this. I was young, because it is aimed at kind of the teenage audience, right? Yeah. It still holds up. I think it's well written. That's why it holds up. There's a huge universe. The first 3 books are a good start, but there's like 190 books after that or something. But what I did when I grew up was I read everything I could find in the library. Mm-hmm. And in the early 90s, there weren't that many fantasy books. The genre had not exploded as it's done now, right? Mm-hmm. And coming into these books is quite interesting because it's kind of well written for what it is. Mm-hmm. It's the background of war. It's epic high fantasy, swashbuckling, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it still has racism, war, refugees. Yeah. So it gives it a little bit more substance, right? Yeah. Compared to a young adult fantasy or more like that. And then it actually has a tongue-in-cheek humor side to it too. It doesn't play a huge role, but it adds a little bit of brevity. What's it called? Brevity?
Brevity.
Yeah. For instance, there's Fizban, the senile mage.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And and you have Flint, the dwarf, who's like super scared of water and stuff like that. It adds it's a couple of sentences here and there. It's not a huge part, but it does make it a fun read.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have, as I said before, racism, refugees, everything. Also, not prominent, but enough to create a believable world, right?
Yeah.
Now, in modern books, they do that way better. But in the early 90s, this was nice to have in books, right? Grimdark wasn't big in the early 90s. So, and it is good, entertaining fantasy. And it goes by fast.
It does. Would I be right in saying the following? For the average person who's never read fantasy, when they think of fantasy, this is what they think of.
Yeah, it's a lot of tropes. It's a lot of... But that's because it's connected to the pen and paper world. And there's good and bad in that.
Yeah.
There's things you recognize automatically. You know what a fireball is.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fireball. Sometimes they use that crazily. So the parent companies all over... I think it's TSR and then Wizard of the Coast had weird rules. So if you...
So TSR originally were the original company. And then
first there was another company, then TSR, then...
it was TSR first.
Was it?
And then Wizards of the Coast bought them. And then All Stars bought Wizards of the Coast.
Oh, yeah.
And All Stars then became owned by Hasbro.
Yeah.
Hasbro owns Entertainment One, which has the license to distribute Sony Pictures in Canada and the USA.
Yeah.
Wikipedia is a crazy thing. You go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So, but for instance, so in the middle part there were the lawyers would come up with crazy rules. So, no. If you write a book, you can write a book. That's fine. But if you throw a magic spell, it has to be connected to the role-playing game. So a player can use the same spell.
Yeah.
So you can't be inventive and say this character did this. It has to be in the role-playing game. So it limits the author in a way. So that's bad, right? But in the same way, there is a good thing too, that you recognize everything, right? And I recommend these books to people who never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But if you have, it's an extra, of course. It helps. It's more fun.
Here's what... As I say, I read the first three years ago, and I remember quite liking them. The characterization, as you said, I thought is very good. It is a bit too Dungeons and Dragons for me.
Yes, but...
Which takes you out of it a bit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I reread the first one like a month ago again. And I can see some weak points, but that's mainly like pacing and story, and you can tell that it's they've changed things and stuff like that a little bit. But I think it still holds up for a book from 1984. I think it's still worth the read.
I went the other way because I was like, I've read the first three. I'm going to read one of the more modern ones, and it was basically based on their children. And it was just it was hokey.
That's also another thing. One of the parent companies forced them to remake a book that would 3 books that would bridge the 5th edition and the 4th edition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's like magic rules you have to use that were forced in. Stuff like that.
It's crazy because Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman left.
Yeah.
For a long time, and then they came back, and they've come back a couple of times, I think.
You want to hear something fun?
I do. Only if I can then try and top what you're about to say.
I think this will blow your mind.
All right.
There was a Dungeons and Dragons tester,
right,
who was asked if he would reboot the whole story of the first 3 books and make it his own. And he almost agreed. Can you guess the fantasy author?
Is it George R. R. Martin?
Jim Butcher.
What?
Jim Butcher.
I can see that.
Yeah, because this was... he just started releasing Dresden. Codex Telera was about to be released.
Yeah, good books, by the way.
Yeah. And he's a D&D tester, but the reason that he stopped was he didn't like the 4th edition rules stuff. Right. Like they had to have a power they can only use once every day and stuff like that. And then he asked, so the original writers, they're okay with this? And he's got, kind of an answer. And he's like, nope, I'm not touching their entire creation.
Yeah.
But he had fun ideas. He wanted to change the whole story. The first start of the book, where it leads to a sequence of events, he wanted to change that up. Totally.
Okay.
But yeah,
it'd be a good choice actually. Just that guy, I wouldn't have guessed Jim Butcher, but when you said Jim Butcher, I was like,
makes sense.
He'd be a fit.
Yeah,
and he would
do a good job.
He'd modernize it in a good way and make it a bit more adult.
Another weird tidbit.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Dragonlance animated thing on YouTube?
No.
It's like a movie thing.
Right.
You know who's the Raistlin in that?
No.
Kiefer Sutherland.
What? How old are we talking?
I don't know, man. It's not the best made.
Right.
Like all those Dungeons and Dragons movies sucks. Yeah, it's animated and CGI, but the CGI is horrible, and
I think maybe I did watch. Did you send me?
No.
I don't know. God, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Do you know, my interesting tidbit is that Margaret Wise, so she's independently successful, got her own books. She went on to found her own company that deal in RPGs of established properties.
Yep.
Can you guess some of those properties? And you should be able to, because we literally talked about this like last week. Anyway, they have the rights to Serenity.
Oh, yeah.
And then other ones which I forgot to write down.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's going on. Do you know what else is crazy?
No?
And God, this is crazy. This was a day and a half. So Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman.
Yep.
I know their names. I've read some of these books.
Yep.
But I was sure that they'd written another series together.
Okay.
Because I have the picture of the first novel in my head, Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. So I started looking for this book. So I was like, I know I've read that series that they wrote together that's not this.
Yeah.
And I started looking for it. I couldn't find it. And it was driving me mad. So maybe I was like, oh, maybe it's just Tracy Hickman.
No.
So then I was looking up Tracy Hickman's books. And I was like, oh, maybe it was just Margaret Wise with somebody else. So I was looking up Margaret Wise books.
What books are you looking for?
Right. So, but I couldn't remember the title of the book.
Okay.
I could remember what the book was about. But I couldn't remember the title. So I was like losing my mind. I was looking at websites going, how do I find a book if I don't know the authors and I don't know the title? And getting information. So I was typing in Google, but I was getting nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, this is ridiculous. And then I went, do you know what? Maybe I just thought it was them because it was somebody else who had collaborated with another author that I like. So I started thinking of that.
So you're just confused?
Yeah, I was 100% confused. But then I was like, well, how did I get those wires crossed?
Yeah.
So I even now, if I close my eyes, I don't even close my... If I close my eyes, I see this book and I see their names on it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it the Death Gate cycle? It's like 10 books or something.
Yeah,
it's them.
No, it's not. No, it's not Deathgate. It's not Deathgate. No, I found the book. I've read the first book.
Yeah.
No, it's not that.
Okay, it's not that serious.
No, it's the Mistwraith books by Janny Wirtz.
Oh, that's
right. Here's the thing, though. Janny Wirtz
wrote
a series of books with Raymond E. Feist. Based on the Midkemia.
Yeah, I love those books.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic. Raymond E. Feist's Midkemia is based on an RPG.
Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, that him and his mates used to mess around with.
Yeah.
For a day, Leif, I was looking for this book, and I've read this book, and even now, I look at the cover, and I see Janny Wirtz, and I'm like, it's Tracy Hickman and Margaret Wise, isn't it? No, it's Janny Wirtz.
Yeah.
That's insane. Good. It is crazy, especially with the Wikipedia thing. How you can go on those tangents.
Yeah.
Where you start to think, it's like when I was looking at who owned the company. And then by the end of it, I was looking at E1 and their subsidiaries.
It has nothing to do with anything. Yeah.
And I was reading it. I was really into Entertainment One. This big conglomerate, and I was like, and then I stopped myself and I was like, wait, how did I get here? And the good thing about Wikipedia is you can backtrack. So you're literally back, you know. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was looking at this, but now I'm reading about this, which is amazing. Because then...
Isn't that?
It is amazing. Because then I was... this is ridiculous. So I was thinking about that, right? You've obviously done it. Where you're literally sitting by yourself in a quiet room, whatever, and you're thinking about something.
Yeah.
And have you ever stopped yourself in your tracks and gone, why the hell am I thinking about this?
Yeah. Maybe.
And then have you ever tried to backtrack to see how you got to this thought?
No, I just go with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why question it?
Really?
You know it's the thing to do. Do it.
You've never sat there in a room and been going like, I'm thinking about paper towels.
Yeah.
Like thinking about paper towels properly. And then you're like, why the hell am I thinking about paper towels? And so you backtrack.
Because there's an efficiency conundrum there. You can clearly make them more absorbent, and you can clearly make the delivery system better.
That's
so
fantastic.
You need to seriously consider
why
paper
did you
towels.
start thinking about paper towels?
Because you told me about paper towels, and now I need to solve this problem.
My point is, why in this room where there's no paper towels am I thinking about paper towels?
Well, the mind works in mysterious ways.
Doesn't it? Here's the crazy thing. I started looking it up.
Yeah?
Sorry.
Shoot.
Sorry, you started with a but. What were you going to say?
That's a good thing. You should follow those things. You should,
It's
you
insane.
shouldn't question it. Just go, all right, let's do it.
It's mind chatter.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mind chatter is your brain is always thinking. So cause you've got two sides to the brain. One is the thinking mind and one is the observing mind.
I think
the
those things are starting to be dissolved, those ideas.
No, actually they're actually becoming more prevalent.
Yeah, I don't know.
Years
Is
and
it
years
fake
ago,
news?
Years and years ago, it was a different thing.
Yeah.
But then these things, which come from the Zen and Buddhism, are becoming more prevalent. One's the thinking mind, one's the observing mind. So the thinking mind is the one...
Did Trump say this?
No. So the thinking mind, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Like your mind never stops. It's always thinking, it's always going, ooh, lamp, ooh, wall, ooh, why is there a wall? Why is
There's
there a
clearly
lamp?
a system in place to make it function the way it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I came up. I came up with this quote. I saw this quote, and I keep thinking about it because it sounds like pseudo New Age bullshit. It's about the two brains.
Did Gwyneth Paltrow say it?
Yeah, probably. Gloop. But if your mind is thinking, then who is observing the mind thinking? It sounds ridiculous.
Yes.
But.
Why?
Yeah, but it's true though.
Why? Why do you need an observer?
Well, because one part of your mind is thinking. Well, you've seen that thing where people have lost like one part of their brain, but they can go on, but their personality changes.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember. It was probably CGP Grey.
There's
a great thing about it where basically one side of your brain is constantly screaming for intention, but it's a silent scream. It's akin to somebody screaming in a sealed room, because your other brain is dominant, but occasionally thoughts get across.
There's an interesting study of women in car accidents with airbags. Whereas, so
real airbags.
The latest thing they found out was that we use the brains differently, but equally, right? Yeah. So and women's usage of, so if you do an MRI scan while people are thinking, women's are more, the flares of energy usage are spread out more, whereas the males usage, it's generally concentrated. Here's what you do this, here's what you do that. So what ended up happening was women that got hit with the airbag and hit their forehead in the car accident had way more serious brain-related injuries than males, because they were using the frontal part more
Is that not just because we've got
So
thicker skulls?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but so they have a more cases of like speech problems after car accidents and stuff like that, and they were trying to figure out why, and this is one of the reasons. So how, with the parts being more important or less important, and how you utilize them, for instance. What were you saying about?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
All I can say is.
Yeah. But you were talking about cutting up parts and like separating them, and exactly.
Well,
and this is kind of the same thing. So
it's God, I wish I could remember more or had the will to research more. This would be a lot more interesting. Anyway, I ended up finding out that apparently Hitler hated cats.
What?
Well,
that's why I don't like Hitler.
Right? Hitler hated cats because apparently psychopaths prefer dogs because they're more
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's why a lot of creative people, and it's skewed, like in the population, I think it's 52%
How's
dogs,
this connected to brains?
48%. I don't know, man. This is freaking thoughts I got onto. Okay. I have no idea. I think this is where I was like,
how deep was this hole?
Yeah. Right? I'm just sitting there looking at walls. I'm scribbling on walls going,
damn.
Dear, what's going
sure
on?
You were on Wikipedia?
Losing my mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, you should find authors. Oh, that was it. It was authors thing.
Okay.
Because, 100%. We can bring it back. I know how I got here.
Nice.
The author of Legacy of Ash.
Okay.
In his bio said he liked cats.
What? Right. And this drove you on this tangent?
Yeah, this one about the dogs and Hitler, but it was connected with the Johnny Wirtz.
So we do now. I might actually read his book because he doesn't think like Hitler.
I don't think it's about thinking like Hitler, but but anyway, so he liked cats. But then I was like, God, you do see that where creative people like cats,
maybe
because they're independent or whatever.
It's like the thing with the left hand and dictatorship and being excellent at sports or whatever. It's I don't know.
If you got a left hand,
it's a certain percentage of the population that are lefties, right?
Yeah.
But they're overrepresented compared to that percentage in
more U.S. presidents being left-handed.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Than the average.
Yeah.
Well, that's my point. So 52% population prefers dogs to 48% cats. I think my maths.
That's even? Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I may have just made that fact up to suit my agenda. But amongst creatives, the number is wildly skewed the other way.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the percentage, but yeah, wildly skewed the other way.
But you're a dog person.
Massively a dog person. Therefore, there's a very real chance I'm a psychopath.
Yeah,
I don't think that's,
I'm a cat person, so I'm clearly not a psychopath.
Yeah. Causation, correlation, I don't know. But anyway, Dragonlance.
Yeah.
Sorry, it got that bloody Johnny Wirtz thing. And Tracy Hickman and Margaret Wise. Every time I see the Miss Wraith books, good books by the way.
Yeah.
And I know I read them years ago and I'm trying to reread them now, but I don't know if I can get through them. But even when I look at the cover, Johnny Wirtz doesn't look correct on there. It looks like it should be Tracy Hickman and Margaret Wise. I also think it should be Tracy Wise and Margaret Hickman. That sounds better, doesn't it?
I have no idea.
Doesn't it? Like, just say it. So it's Tracy Hickman.
Doesn't matter. It's all about money.
Say Tracy Hickman.
Tracy Hickman.
Now say Tracy Wise.
Tracy what?
Tracy Wise.
Why would I say that?
Because I'm asking. Tracy Wise.
Yeah, it sounds wrong.
It doesn't. Tracy Wise sounds better than Tracy
No, it sounds wrong.
All right, okay.
I think there's something wrong with your brain.
What about
That's what we
Margaret Hickman or Margaret Wise? Which sounds better?
Both about the same.
You're just saying that to wind me up. You know full well that it should be Tracy Wise and Margaret Hickman.
I have no idea because now you confused me.
Do you know what they should do? Tracy Hickman should leave Laura Hickman, hook up with Margaret Wise, and then they should each take each other's names. So therefore, Tracy is Tracy Wise, and Margaret is Margaret Hickman. And it sounds better.
You know I'm not good with names. So I would basically go, that person and this person.
Yeah.
Done.
Anyway, it's crazy to me that I look at this book and I know it's Johnny Wirtz, but I still see Tracy Wise and Margaret Hickman. But, it's crazy. Are based on RPGs.
Yeah.
Because the Raymond Feist thing. And that's why I got it confused.
Yeah. Also, I would like to add the Forgotten Realms world is part of the Dungeons and Dragons world too.
Which is the Forgotten Realms one?
Everything Remedy Feast, not everything, but Remedy Feast worlds, Forgotten Realms, that he writes a lot about. Yeah, Feist, whatever. He
could be Feast.
It's the same thing as the Dragonlance books, basically. It's just a different module.
But there are degrees, mate. Like Remedy Feist's world is by a factor of a high number better than the Dragonlance. It's like
it's about the same.
That's an outrageous statement, and you should take it back.
Now, have you read the rest of the Forgotten Realms books?
What's Forgotten Realms?
So the Magician is separate. It's not part of Forgotten Realms, I think.
What are you talking about?
So, Feist wrote a lot of books for Forgotten Realms. That's what I was talking about. You were talking about his own universe that he created.
Yeah, but based on the RPG. Like, there's a Midkemia RPG. It's him
yeah, but that's created after.
No, it was created before, because Magician was based on him and his mates sitting around and playing RPGs or Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And they created the Midkemia world. You can look it up, mate. Cause
yeah, but it's not that what I'm doing. I'm doing another thing.
What are you doing? Are you checking what time my next train is?
No.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. Me and names. I was thinking about R.A. Salvatore.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. What?
You confused me with all the names.
I confused you.
Yeah.
You confused R.A. Salvatore.
Also,
with Raymond
we
D.
all
Feist.
know it's universe, so stop confusing people.
Anyway, I found that crazy.
Yeah.
That January. It's fine. I'm gonna let it go. Look at me. I've just thrown it away. It's fine. Do you know what other series are based on RPGs?
Who?
I'm gonna throw this out there. George R. R. Martin's Wild Cards series. You read any of those?
No, I haven't actually.
Good. Me neither. That's a good. Let's move on.
Yeah, I have them on my Kindle, so I should.
I think I've read one.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
I like the premise, but yeah. Here's one that I think you read. Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shadows of the Apt, where people are insects. Or
Yeah. I read it, the first one, but I couldn't get into it.
Oh.
I have one problem with sci-fi that sometimes comes through in fantasy.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's if you have outlandish things like insects, you have to explain them well.
Yeah. He does.
To make it believable. Yeah, he does. But it was fine for the first 3 different insects. But when it becomes 20, I'm like, I'm out.
Okay.
And the same thing goes for sci-fi, where it's the either alien races or starships and bases that are like so outlandish, and you don't get a clear picture of it. Like if somebody explain a castle with 4 spires, okay, that's easy. But if it's like, this propulsion engine is like this, and that propulsion engine is like that, well, like you need a shape or you need something to relate it to make it a whole picture in my mind. Yeah. But they don't always give that. So yeah, and if it's too many of these abstract things, I'm like, nah.
Shadows of the Apt is a good series, man. You should read more. Like I think it's like 10 books so far, and he hasn't finished because I read the last one, and then he went on to do I can't remember something else. He started like a new series. It's very good though. My question is, so it's humans who take on insect characteristics.
Yeah.
So you have like the bees, the ants, the wasps.
You know who made really good insect characters?
Who?
Jenny Wirtz.
Did she?
Yeah. Midkemia.
She did as well. But that's actually in Kellowan.
Yeah,
yeah. All right. I hate to correct you, but it's a different world, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't try to out-nerd me at life. Yeah, she did. Well, the Choja is what you're talking about. But they are insects.
Yeah.
So that's different.
Why?
But because these are humans with insect characteristics.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones are insects.
So that makes it worse.
I don't know. Well, here's my problem with it. So you have beetles, wasps, bees, scarabs, water beetles, like different
You already
insects.
lost me. I'm not interested in the book anymore.
You should, genuinely. They're really good. Like the mantis, moths, and like butterflies. Like, really good. But here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you introduce the fact that they're humans with insect characteristics. So a big facet of humans is free will.
Yeah.
Which, it's been debunked, certainly.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can talk about that again.
Yeah.
But why would they continue to act like insects? Is it so ingrained? But then you take away the human aspect of it, I guess.
So
it's just
that was my thing.
insects
Like,
that look like humans.
I couldn't get into the books because there was like stuff like this doesn't make sense to me. Then it's too outlandish. That's the same thing with me in magic systems. I've said this 100 times. I like in the background or low key or not used frivolously.
We're the same in this. Yeah.
And that rules out a lot of good books for me because it's just you got so much power, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, but then it's no fun.
There's magic in Shadows of the App, but it's not magic based. It's genetics.
Okay.
But my problem thinking about it now is they're constrained by their genetics. Like bees will always act like bees.
Yeah.
Ants will act like ants. Wasps will act like wasps.
Yeah.
They can. They're kind of beaten against an invisible wall, where they can go so far, and then their very character won't let them. I think that's a premise within it to a certain degree, especially with the magic system, where you have people who are apt, which means that is apt. I'm probably going to get this wrong around, but apt means that you can use tools.
Okay.
Not being apt means that you can use magic, but like you can't use a door handle.
I hate these books already.
They're really good, actually.
I don't care.
Genuinely good. Okay.
They can be that's the thing. So when a thing breaks if it goes too far out of my comfort zone of the type of book, there's like something that I don't like.
Right.
There's one or two I can forgive, but then after a while it's like no, I there's no point. Like it's just the book could be the best fantasy book written for 10 years. I will not touch it. It's not for me. It's for somebody else. Right.
Okay.
And that's just the way it is. Like it's there's so many books out there. I'd rather read something else then, right? Because you won't get into it. You get annoyed every time you see it.
But it's a good book. Like it's really.
But it's like watching a movie with a bad actor. Like that one role can destroy the movie for you, even though the rest of the movie might be good. So for me, the inconsistencies or the things that annoy me will go nah.
Yeah. Okay.
So then it's just a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good book. I like the books. I do. I like them. Done well.
But you didn't like the Broken World.
Which one's Broken World?
What's it called? The ones I recommended you.
Which one's that?
Oh, I bought them to you actually.
Jemison?
Yeah.
Mate, like it's just they're not good, and it's that sort of thing.
They are good,
but
the 5th season is the first book. Broken Earth.
Yeah, the Broken Earth. Right. Here's the thing with books like that. Like objectively fine, but they almost feel like they're written to win awards. Like you want to win the Hugo, or
I don't think so.
I think so, and I'm basing this on my own opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm right. But N.K. Jemisin.
Yeah.
It's. I got through the first book. I got halfway through the second book, and then I just couldn't do it to myself anymore.
But they're good books. You have to read them.
They're not that good.
No, but hey, I'm saying they're good books. You have to read them. That's what you were doing for me before.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, you're using my own logic against me. Yeah, I'm just.
You feel it or you don't, right? Some books are like that, sadly. It might be a good book, might not. But if there's something that's off-putting to you, then you go, nah, I can do something else.
Broken Earth, Cataclysm, numerous cataclysms, Earth has to start again. There are people who can feel the Earth and control like earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff. And then there's an order of people who keep these people in control. And then there's everybody else. They live in certain places which are
safe from
geologically sound and stuff. That's the premise from what I can remember.
Yeah,
I just didn't like it.
No?
I just didn't like it, mate. I'm not saying it was a bad gift, because, you know...
Hey,
unless you bought it specifically because you knew I wouldn't like it.
It won multiple awards,
but, it was
but
written
your
to win
insect
awards.
books didn't.
That's not the same thing. I guarantee Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shadows of the Apt have won an award somewhere.
Yeah, and they sold well. I know they sold well, so yeah.
But has it won the big award? Absolutely not. Have a lot of books which I love won awards? No, because
I'm pretty sure Dragonlance won all the awards.
Back in the day, 'cause there was no such thing as fantasy or literature back in the day when they were a thing. But, you know, maybe they won the best Dungeons and Dragons novel of that year.
Yeah, clearly.
But you know what I mean? Award books aren't books. Like, they're books that are written to win awards. It's like when the Oscars come around. Was Parasite the best book last year, or the best film last year? Absolutely not.
Depends. Best shot, best set, maybe best a lot of things.
Set. It was a house.
Yeah, but they built the house for the movie.
So?
Yeah, that's cool because of the angles and shit. That's why.
You know what should have won last year? Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, shit. Right. Good.
What? Hey, we're book nerds. We're not fighters.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I meant with words, man.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Jojo Rabbit's a bloody great movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what it isn't? Parasite.
No, it is a good movie, but
no, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Oh, God.
Do you know? You said it before about one character spoils it. One plot element in this.
Which one?
Destroyed it for me. It's the fact that they build the father up to be not the stinky father, the poor father, the rich father.
Yeah, you didn't believe his character.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, they literally build him up to be, he's alright.
Yeah.
He's rich, but he's alright.
Yeah.
And then because they need him to be the bad guy and they need that plot contrivance, all of a sudden he switches in a minute. Just because they need that for the story.
Yeah.
That is bad storytelling. That film is not all that. And it annoys me so much when people are like, amazing film, great film. It's all that. No, it isn't. It really isn't.
It's definitely a well-made movie. You can't say that it's not.
Up until that point, I got 1/3 of the way through it. Mm-hmm. I switched it off. I went, I just don't like this movie. And then because people had badgered me, I went back and I tried again, and I watched the whole thing. Nope.
I would definitely recommend you watch it. Ronan is clearly wrong here. But yeah, it's maybe... So I wouldn't say it's a top movie of the year, but it's definitely high up there.
It's because it's got subtitles. And people think films with subtitles are better.
No.
Is it because it's got subtitles? What? And people think films with subtitles
are dumbest argument I heard ever, but
is
sure.
It?
Yeah. No, not at all. I think it's a really well-made movie. I think it's probably definitely in my top 10 of that year. But, admittedly, I don't watch as many movies as I used to.
I watch a lot of movies, and it's not my top 10.
No, but I'm assuming a couple of your top 10s are like shitty movies. Really shitty movies, but you enjoy them.
One man's shit is another man's rose.
Exactly.
Doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know, mate. Do you know what? It is a good... Here's the thing, a conversation I was having with the partner earlier on. So there's this really good Netflix TV show.
Which one?
I think it's called Haji something else.
I don't like it. But I watched it.
It's bloody brilliant.
Nah.
Anyway, so I was speaking to the partner earlier, and I was like, why don't you watch that? It's really good. And she go, no, it's got subtitles. That's an evening movie. And I was like, no, you can read during the day.
No, I agree.
Fine.
It's an evening thing.
But that proves my point. Where you think subtitles I'm not, elevate things.
I'm not serious. Yeah,
that's fair.
That makes no sense to me at all.
No, right?
But
that's a good. Can you remember the name?
Haji Kaji or Haji Kari or something like that. Yeah.
Why'd you not like it? It's brilliant.
I didn't like the pacing. I didn't like some of the characters. I'm not that into that type of mystery detective thing.
There's no mystery or detective.
No, I know, but I didn't get into it. I didn't think that...
Did you watch it all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm only 5 episodes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about the same pace all the way through, and it's not as good as other things. Bodyguards was better.
Sorry. for those who can't hear my incredulous face,
You
I
almost
just made
puked a little bit.
Incredulous face. Although that has who's the woman in Bodyguard?
No idea. Names means nothing to me.
The female lead, who's the minister.
Yeah, I know.
What's her name?
I have no idea.
Jeez, I do know. She's brilliant.
You can clearly tell I'm handicapped when it comes to names.
Yeah. She's brilliant. She's in Line of Duty as well. She's very good. I'm gonna look this up. Phil. You gonna Phil?
So when did this come in to become a TV show movie podcast? I'm missing something. Where's the fantasy movies?
Keely Hawes. I think she's an amazing actor. Keely Hawes.
Has she done anything else?
Yeah, Line of Duty. I literally just said that. I just think she's fantastic.
Okay.
Understated brilliance. Keely Hawes, fantastic. Keely Hawes, if you're listening, love you. I'm not saying I'd leave my partner for you. I'm just saying, big fan, and I think you're wonderful.
Oh, you're gonna get in trouble.
And you should be in more things. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Dragonlance. So good that we spent 40 minutes talking about other things.
No, that's just you.
Oh, is that just me?
Yeah.
Sorry. What is a Dragonlance?
A Dragonlance is a weapon. There's very few of them, and there's comes in two models, shorter and longer, depending if you're riding on a thing.
How do you make a Dragonlance?
That's the thing. You don't. Nobody remembers how to do them anymore.
Is that true?
Depends on how far you go into the books.
Okay. When were they created?
In the third Dragon War, I think.
God, you're a nerd.
What?
That's correct. Yeah, and he wasn't even looking at notes. That's ridiculous. What are Dragonlances for?
Killing the evil dragons and helping the good dragons.
That's entirely correct.
Yeah.
What's the magic system?
So it's based on Dungeons and Dragons. So it's basically you remember a spell from a spell book and then you can cast it once.
Okay. Like Discworld, Rincewind.
I actually don't remember a lot of Discworlds. I should reread those.
So in Discworld, the thing with Rincewind, who's the cowardly wizard, is that he opens a spell book and a spell gets in his head.
Yeah.
But it's so amazingly brilliant and ridiculous and powerful that he can't do any more magic.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing in here. And if he says this, they think it will end the world.
So
he's never allowed to.
Oh, yeah. So he's never...
Yeah.
Yeah, that I remember now.
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But, so...
You have like a couple... You have cantrips, smaller things you can do.
Yeah.
But then you have like, if you want to... Let's say you're going to throw fireballs.
Yeah.
At level 7, you can only store 3 fireballs or something. Right. So then you have to plan ahead for the day to come.
Wizard-wise, what sort of classes do you get?
So you get this kind of wizard that can read and remember spells from the spellbook.
No, but I mean classifications.
No, wait.
Oh, sorry.
And later on,
yeah,
due to these books,
yeah,
they create different other classes. So sorcerer wasn't created until this.
Oh, okay.
And sorcerer have innate spells, so they can throw whenever they feel like.
I just meant that there's pretty much 3 different types. There's good, bad, and neutral.
Yeah.
And Raceland is...
Depends how far you're into the books.
He's bad.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. Okay. Interesting. I got nothing else on Dragonlance. What's your favourite race?
In the Dragonlance world, I don't care so much about the races. Racing was my favorite when I was a kid. I find Tasselhoff to be amazing. Yeah. Later on, in the beginning, he's a bit weird, but he comes into character a lot later on. And I don't know. It's
I like Kendalls for the fact that they're always stealing stuff.
Always tripping over and shit.
Yeah, and that's their character trait.
Yeah,
they steal stuff.
Yeah. Everybody knows they steal stuff. Yeah.
But they're not being just killed offhand. They're just being thrown out of bars and stuff. Yeah. Bloody Kendalls.
Exactly.
But they just steal stuff.
Yeah.
Alright, anyway. Okay.
There's actually a whole series of kindred things.
Okay.
And
I think that'd be too much.
What?
I think that'd be too much.
No. It's fine. Okay. And there's also Gully Dwarfs. They're nice too.
Love Gully Dwarfs.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part of all of the books. Yep. When because there's time travel in the first 3. Yeah, because he becomes master of time, doesn't he, Raceland?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can spoil stuff.
Why?
It's fine.
It's only been out since '84.
Oh, absolutely. But there's a big battle where like lots of people die and whatever. And Raceland's big thing, because he's a bad wizard, but through his twin,
but also kind of good.
Caramon.
Yeah.
Through his twin, he has a bit of redemption. They also have a sister who's just a badass. He likes Gully Dwarfs. And one of his things is because there's a book of there's a book of histories or something.
Don't remember that.
There's like a book of histories which records all important events or something, or like a book of time. I remember it because he says, but nobody remembers the Gully Dwarfs because during the battle, Gully Dwarfs form a pike line and just get overrun and all massacred. And he said, but nobody remembers the Gully Dwarfs. And I just think that's a very good point.
And also in the one of the most key scenes in the first book is about Gully Dwarfs, and the Gully Dwarfs makes a difference.
And they're the hobbits.
Little men. No. So they're
smaller.
Way smaller, maybe more dumb. But in a hilarious, endearing way. So, that's the thing. There's a little bit of everything in these books. And
I like gnomes. Gnomes. They're pseudoscience, but doesn't quite work ever. But I like gnomes in it. It's good. And there's minotaurs, which you always forget.
Well, since it's a Dungeons and Dragons world, there's a lot of different things.
Isn't it weird that there's minotaurs, though?
Why?
Well, because minotaurs are like Greek classical monsters. It's not quite. It's not really fantasy.
Manticore is also common in fantasy books.
Manticore.
Yeah.
Manticore's not Greek, is it?
No, but it's mythological, based on.
Are there Cyclopsi?
Maybe. No, not that common. But
the fact that minotaurs are like they're a proper
you could say the same
race.
thing for mermaids or any like this. Those tropes permeate
but isn't
all
it weird
fantasy.
that minotaurs? Because if you talk races on what's the name of the Kynor? What's the name of the world?
Kryn?
Yeah. If you talk major races, there's basically humans, elves, dwarfs, and minotaurs. Minotaurs is like one of the big things. It's weird that it's minotaurs, isn't it?
No.
Minotaurs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Minotaurs. I always found that weird. The Minotaur is like.
Yeah, but it's like the what's it called, half horse, half man thing.
Centaurs.
Yeah, same thing there. It's like it's part of mythology interwoven into fantasy throughout the ages.
Yeah, I guess they're stealing stuff. Anything else?
No, I actually.
Who's your favorite character? Sorry.
Used to be Raistlin. Nowadays, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Teslov.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were gonna say sorry.
Read the first 3, or at least the first book. It's shifts in tone and pacing a little bit, but it is an enjoyable, easy read, and you will know right away if you like it or not. But give it like a couple of pages, and you'll be fine. I
would agree. Read the first 3.
Yeah.
Don't read the ones that I reread because they're not good.
Also, don't jump in the middle when
I thought I knew it.
So all that. And if you have a favorite character, go read that trilogy that they have, because they basically all have trilogies.
Yeah. Okay, Leif. I think that's it. You got anything else to add?
No. I'm good. Yeah.
You just want to get rid of me. That's fine. That's been Leif and myself at Tangential Diatribe. Leif, where can people find us?
At Tangential Diatribes, but it's spelled wrong, so I have no idea what this means. But sure, on Tangential Diatribes at Gmail, at Twitter, at Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, maybe later on or something. And it's spelled without the I.
Oh, that's just horrific, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to redo that. So if you want to find us on email, go to tangentialdiatribe@gmail.com. Tangential is spelled TANGENTAL. That's a legitimate way of spelling it. If you want to find us on Twitter, it's at Tangential D. If you want to find us on Facebook, it's Tangential Diatribe. If you want to find us on YouTube, it's Tangential Diatribe. And if you want to just throw us some money, because we'd both like to retire on this, you can find us on Tangential Diatribe. Leif, thanks for reading that out, buddy. That was really well done.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's it. All that remains for me to say is thanks for listening. And Leif, if I can just ask you, is there any update on the next Game of Thrones book?
Why would I care?
Fantastic. Big Rowan V, thank you very much for listening. And with me as always has been Leif Shore.
Thank you. Have a nice one.